welcome back to the Journey to the FarLands. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's see here. A bunch of stuff, sort of, kind of here. Let's just get out of here. And there's nothing going on, so that's good. All right, which way? That way. All right. Got some boats here. And I don't need this. Yeah, head off that way. Yeah, all right. So, we're on the way again. Onwards to the FarLands. Journeying onwards in Minecraft Beta 1.7.3. Why the old version? Because that's the last version where the FarLands exist. And so that's where I stay. And we just go onward here. Let's see. First thing up. The size of the world, 5,847.31 megabytes. As we continue on. Growing, I think it's about an estimated rate of about 35 or 37 megabytes per episode. Well, per 3-day episode. And, yeah, that's pretty consistent. Let's see. It has been too long, and there has been a lot going on. I had the wonderful fun of a hard drive failure and the work of quiet, panicky determination to recover as much off of it as possible. Fortunately, this world was among the things recovered from it. Which tells me what I need to do is, when I make the regular backups of the Journey to the FarLands world, I need to start backing that up onto external media. You know, some kind of removable thing, like, oh, how about the new flash drive I got? 128 gigabytes of storage capacity. I think from now on, when I make backups of the Journey to the FarLands world, they're going to go on that. Just in case. And the same thing with my single-player Minecraft world and a few other things as well. Just, whoa. Ooh. Yeah, that was no good. Just obliviously walking along and obliviously walk into a pit of doom that was only 2 blocks deep, but it could have been a whole lot deeper. There could have been lava at the bottom of it. That would have been ugly. Anyway, so I finally got everything going again. Now I'm getting paranoid. And I'm starting to get back to normal with videos and such. And, of course, on top of all of that, there was, of course, all the stuff and things that goes with getting ready to be in gear for a new season of Hermitcraft, because that has started as well. Come on. And, yeah, that's great. Anyway, along the way, I believe it was about 10 days ago, on the 13th of June, or whatever, July, or whatever it was, that I did a video in which I announced something. Specifically, I announced, oh, come on, that I was gearing up, and I was going to repeat that long smoke-free thing that I did before, 52 days worth of smoke-free. I was going to try to repeat it and do a longer time period and so on, maybe permanently even. Hey, that would have been great. Well, I hate to say it, but I made it about 2.5 days. And then I sort of crashed and burned. Of course, the next day I immediately determined I was going to start again. And since then I have started again at least 4 times, in addition to the one, so a total of 5 times restarted. Not exactly thrilled about that, and I think probably what I should have done was the way I did it the first time. And that was to just simply do it. Without announcing the fact, without telling anyone, without getting out there on YouTube and announcing to the whole world, I'm going to do this, because there you go, splat. Yeah. I'm still determined to do it. I am still going to get this done. But it's a fight. It really is. One of the occasions of failure, you know how it happened? I was at the grocery store, doing my normal thing, getting, some milk and some bread and some this and that and the other and so on. Just plain old groceries. And I figured this out afterwards. But, you see, when I got home, I didn't even realize this until I got home, but what I also bought was some smokes. And, I bought them and I went home and I lit up and I sat there and enjoying it. And after 3 or 4 of them, that's when I realized, hey, wait a minute, I was doing this other thing. When did I get these? And I know that sounds like a kind of a lamey type of thing, but it's real. It happens. And I know from previous experience in the past that people who are non-smokers or people who have never been smokers are going to find the whole thing hard to believe. And I suppose I can understand that up to a point. But you see, what such folks are not taking into account is how powerfully addictive cigarettes are. They're very, tobacco, nicotine specifically, is, from what I have learned over the years, and again recently, it's some of the most addictive stuff in the world, I think. I've done some reading about how it works, why it's so addictive. And it's really powerful stuff. But you see, when you inhale a cigarette, or a cigar, or whatever form of tobacco you particularly use, that smoke gets into your bloodstream right away because it's going in through the lungs. And once it's in your bloodstream, it doesn't take long, like seconds, literally seconds, for it to get to the brain. And you know what happens there? Nicotine triggers a reaction, dopamine, a neurotransmitter that is associated with pleasure and reward response. And, well, the long and the short of it, or how about the short version, is that for all intents and purposes, the reason nicotine is so incredibly addictive is because it hits you right in the pleasure center of the brain. That oh so very primitive part that just thinks, hey, this is good. This triggered a really good reaction, so I want more. That's what makes it so addictive. That's what makes it, I think, probably more addictive than just about anything else I can think of. It's really powerful stuff. And I think that, given that, if smoking had not been a thing from ancient days or whatever, I think that if it were invented today, that tobacco and nicotine things would become controlled substances very quickly. And yeah, because that level of addiction is very powerful, and when you combine that with literally decades of the use of it, it makes getting off of it really hard. And yeah, I think that one of the hardest things that any smoker will do is to finally quit and stay that way for long periods of time. And by long periods of time, I mean years or decades, you know. Ideally, forever. But, yeah. And so the one thing I would say, the one bit of free advice I would give, is if you don't smoke, don't start. Trust me, you'll wish you hadn't if you do. Because I wish I hadn't. I mean, I like cigarettes. I'll tell you straight up, I do like cigarettes. I enjoy a good smoke, and it is relaxing, and I feel good, and so on. But of course I feel good having a smoke. Pleasure center, dopamine, and all that good happy stuff. I've got an article from drugabuse.gov. I will link that in the description. It would be an eye-opener, I think. It does a very good job of explaining the whole issue. And so on. So I'm going to put that in the description. And, yeah. Oh, I thought that was a sheep. Terrible. So, that's the fun I'm having recently. That, I mean, I'm not giving up. I'm not just saying, oh, well, the heck with it, and just continue lighting up. I'm continuing to try to stop. But it's a hard row to hoe, you know? It really is. And I will be glad when it's somehow easier, but frankly, I don't expect it to get any easier, ever. And the way I'm thinking right now is basically pretty much just about like every time I wake up, what I'm going to have to do is decide then and there that I'm going to quit smoking again. Even if I hadn't had a cigarette in years, I would still have to quit every day. Because I know what'll happen if I don't. I know it because it's just, you know, just as sure as the sun rises. And, yeah. Right now, I'm not even thinking about years. Right now, I'm going to be totally pleased if I can actually go 30 days. And then having made it 30 days, let's try for 60 and so on and so forth. And yeah, that's pretty much the state of where I'm at. And that has had me in assorted, not so wonderful places right now in the last couple of weeks. And I do seriously think that in announcing ahead of time that I was going to do that, that all of a sudden I put the pressure on myself. You know, and maybe what I should have done was to just go ahead and start doing it and do it the same way I did before. Of course, the whole thing is, the last time when I went to 52 days, I decided to do that, to do a 30-day smoke-free thing. I decided to do it in January. And after making that decision in January, it was, I believe, the 30th of March before I hit day 6 for the first time. Yes, it actually took that long. And there's a lot of frustration involved in that, because you decide to do it and you actually want to do it, and then you find yourself not doing it. Sometimes without even realizing it. To actually, while you're at the store but doing whatever else, to also include buying some smokes, going home and lighting up, or not even wait till you get home, light up in the car, you know. And then sometime later, suddenly realizing that you've done that almost unconsciously. Not like you're sleepwalking or some nonsense like that, but that you've done it. And without even thinking about it, because it's become pretty much a lifelong habit. You know, when you do something for 45 years, it becomes kind of automatic. You do it without even thinking about it. You know, it's just like getting out of bed in the morning. You know. And, I know a lot of people say, well, don't beat yourself up over it. It's a thing, you know, it happens. And that's great. And that sort of thing is appreciated. But it doesn't stop the fact that you kind of do beat yourself up over it, because you know it's important to stop. You know it's important to get free of it. But that addiction is so strong. That grip that stuff has is so strong. I sincerely believe that there is very little in this world that is as addictive as that is. I really believe that. And I'm going to get free of it. I guarantee you that. It will happen. I can't speak to how much growly attitude will happen between now and then. I can't say a thing about that. But you know how that is. Anyway, I didn't mean to get all overly dramatic or what have you, but this thing is bugging me, and it's really hard to do. And I'll tell you what, those of you who have someone in your day-to-day real life who is willing to be supportive and offer morale support. You know, and by the way, there's a thing. A lot of people will say moral support, but what they mean is morale support. Look up the definition of morale. It has to do with your attitude, your outlook on life, and how good you feel, and stuff like that. You know, it's like the general is concerned because the troops got really low morale, you know. Yeah, morale support. Moral support has got nothing to do with it. Moral support would be something to do... Oh, crap, there's a skeleton out somewhere shooting at me. Die, chump. Anyway, yeah, moral support would involve choices of right and wrong and stuff like that. That's not what this is. Now, I know some people might say, well, but smoking is wrong. It is immoral. No, it isn't. Because what the smoker who is trying to quit needs is morale support. And so if there's somebody in your life who is trying to quit, that morale support is something that, whether they think so or say so or not, they need it. And that means, most importantly, a lack of recriminations or blaming or you failed, yeah. Anytime they reach a point of failure, because at some point in any effort to quit smoking, there will be failures. I promise you. I guarantee it. It will happen. Probably more than once. Possibly a lot of times. You never know. I think mostly it's going to depend on the individual, and it will also probably depend somewhat on how long they've been at it. You know, so yeah, that's a thing that would be a good thing to kind of think about, to keep in mind. Because somebody who's trying to quit, they need that support, that morale support, to keep their morale up. Because when it goes down, you know they're going to reach for a pack. You know, when depression hits, or anything even remotely like depression, Even if it's not full-on depression of the medical, clinical, whatever variety, I don't know. I don't know the details of that kind of stuff. I just know what I have to deal with. But, you know, when that kind of thing hits, and you never know when it can, because it can hit for any reason or for no reason, or at least no apparent reason. There is always a reason, but it's not always apparent. Even to the person going through it. Sometimes especially to the person going through it. You know, and something like that can happen, and, you know, one of the reactions is going to be to reach for a pack and to get really growly at anybody who tries to stop them. You know, said folks need a little bit of understanding. Folks trying to get off the cigarettes, they need that. And the help. And so on. I was talking about this one time, and somebody responded to me saying, "Get a girlfriend." Yeah, right. They say that like it was so easy to do. You know, I mean, what do? You go run down to Walmart at the girlfriend department? Yeah, I don't think so. Somehow, I don't think that's a department in Walmart. So, it's not just that easy. Oh, for crying out loud. Alright. That goes down. Alright, there we go. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a... In one way, that's kind of a good answer. But in another way, it's like, well, duh. If I could do that, I'd have done it a long time ago. And that's kind of what I'm thinking of, what I think about that, you know, when somebody says that to me, or something like it. And that has happened a few dozen times over the years. And every time it's like, hey, dude, if I could do that, I'd have done it. You know? If it was that easy, I'd have done it a long time ago. But here I am, 59 years old, and extremely set in my ways, like in concrete almost. Well, figuratively speaking, at least. And, yeah. Anyway, I get the feeling I've turned this into some kind of a rant almost. Well, not quite a rant, because a rant involves being kind of upset or somewhat angry about something. This isn't a rant. Maybe a vent. I'm not sure. But I think sometimes it's helpful to talk about things. And that's part of a thing that vlogs and Journey to the FarLands offer to me, is the ability to speak about things. Whoa. Hey. That is pretty cool. Get a shot of that from over here. Oh, good gravy. Zombies too? Yeah, and they're all down there. Alright. Okay. Alright. Screenshot. Thumbnail. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Okay, and that way. I almost got turned around as to what way I needed to go. Anyway, if you're still watching at this point, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you're not, well, I guess I don't really suppose I have to say anything to you if you're not watching. But then again, you might be listening. I don't know. But anyway, if you're still with me by whatever means, thank you. I appreciate it. And if there's a smoker in your life and they are trying to quit, morale support is something that they very much need. Even if they don't realize it, I guarantee you they need it. Because quitting is one of the most difficult things that you can do. Of course, one person said, well, you know, quitting is easy. I quit 5 or 6 times a month, or 5 or 6 times a week, you know, or something like that. And, oh, crapola. I let myself get caught out. But the trick is staying quit. One more block back. Torches. And a bit of door. Not there. There. Another torch. Now clear this place out. Anyway, I guess I did kind of need to vent or semi-rant or rattle on or whatever about this subject, because this subject is very much on my mind these days, because I am very much serious about the quidditch. And the efforts to get that done are not going to stop. They can't stop. Whoa. Okay. Say 3 more boats. And while I'm at it, a bit of bread. Maybe another. Nah, that'll do. Alright. Get this collected and call it a day. Yeah. So, that's another day. And I'm very hopeful that there will be another episode sometime soonish. And by the way, I'm also working on another episode of The Adventures of Harry Fenton. So that should be sometime soonish, I hope. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I am out of here.